On the surface, she was the charming demon empress who captivated all beings. But behind the scenes, she turned out to be a well-endowed but brainless lady. Xiao Tian stared in astonishment as Luo Fengai called a court meeting just to announce two matters. Luo Fengai laughed and winked at Xiao Tian, who was left speechless and horrified by what he witnessed. He found himself unable to respond for a moment. Even Zi Ruoyan, unable to maintain her composure, asked Luo Fengai what she had just done. Luo Fengai responded casually, "I called the court meeting, right?" Zi Ruoyan looked somewhat terrified and said, "Don't tell me you used to conduct court meetings like this in the past." Luo Fengai frowned, saying, "Yes, I've learned a lot from you." "Haven't I improved?" Zi Ruoyan, even more shocked, asked, "Where have you improved?" Luo Fengai confidently replied, "This time, I didn't lay a finger on anyone." Zi Ruoyan silently glanced at the three senior female guards, who nodded in agreement. Feeling helpless, Zi Ruoyan sighed at Luo Fengai's unmanageable style of governance. Luo Fengai's combat power was unparalleled in the entire original demon nation. And no demonic race in the original demon nation could rival her. This allowed Zi Ruoyan to witness the strange situation in the original demon nation. What surprised Zi Ruoyan the most was that the subjects here strongly approved of Xiao Tian's presence. Unable to sit still, Xiao Tian cleared his throat and said to Long Qiudao, "Shouldn't we integrate the Great Yan Empire, the Eastern Flame Empire, and the Celestial Mechanism sect into the Sacred Demon Domain?" Hearing this, Long Qiudao nodded in agreement. Turning around, Long Qiudao said, "Your Majesties, I and Prince Xiao Tian will take our leave." After speaking, he followed Xiao Tian out of the hall. Shortly afterward, the two arrived at a location north of the original demon nation's imperial city. Xiao Tian asked Long Qiudao, "What if we open up a space from here and squeeze in the Great Yan Empire, the Eastern Flame Empire, and the Celestial Mechanism sect?" Horrified, Long Qiudao vehemently shook his head, expressing that it was absolutely impossible. Such an action would leave the local citizens with nowhere to live. Floating in midair, Xiao Tian, who had spoken the words of reason, had an image in his mind. The shape of the realm, resembling a balloon or bubble, indicating the inherent plasticity of the realm. This led Xiao Tian to consider that the realm itself had a certain level of malleability. With this thought, Xiao Tian immediately conceived a new plan. In front of the horrified Long Qiudao, Xiao Tian extended his hand, tore open the space before him, and began exerting force. Under his terrifying power, the entire sacred demon domain, the realm itself, was forcibly expanded. Then, he forcefully squeezed the entire Great Yan Empire's space into the expanded realm. What astonished Long Qiudao the most was that Xiao Tian, with him, rushed out of the sacred demon domain into the void. Xiao Tian managed to reshape the distorted sacred demon domain with his bare hands, turning it into a smooth appearance. Long Qiudao noticed a bizarre phenomenon. Due to Xiao Tian's outrageous actions, the entire sacred demon domain had expanded considerably. The overall luck of the original demon nation and the Great Yan Empire had surprisingly increased. At this moment, Long Qiudao felt like his cognition was collapsing, and he felt as if he were about to rupture. While Xiao Tian's previous actions were somewhat understandable, what he was witnessing now left Long Qiudao utterly bewildered. Where were the rules of heaven and earth? Where was the way of heaven and the laws of nature? Why did it seem like Xiao Tian could decide and accomplish anything with a snap of his fingers? After completing all this, when Xiao Tian was treating himself to a hot pot to reward his hard work, Long Qiudao, sitting beside him, finally came to his senses and said, "Lord Xiao Tian, with your strength, have you ever thought about conquering the world?" From Long Qiudao's perspective, Xiao Tian was fully capable of such a feat. However, Xiao Tian, with such formidable strength, seemed content to be an idle prince, living carefree and muddled. If Long Qiudao had not been constantly by Xiao Tian's side, he would find it hard to believe that the fearsome powerhouse and the seemingly freeloading young man before him were the same person. Xiao Tian shook his head and replied, "It's too tiring." Then, savoring the meat in front of him, he sent it into his mouth, enjoying it blissfully. Long Qiudao was somewhat surprised as he looked at Xiao Tian and asked, "Is it just because of that?" Xiao Tian, looking puzzled, said to Long Qiudao, "Desires that are too great and too heavy will only leave you breathless." Leaning back in his chair and gazing at the night sky, Xiao Tian continued, "Conquering the world might sound impressive and ambitious, but I don't like it." When Xiao Tian reached this point, a heated argument could be heard at the courtyard entrance. As the two arguing demon empresses walked into the courtyard, they smiled and approached Xiao Tian. While Xiao Yuer greeted Xiao Tian with a smile, Xiao Yuer was almost being deformed, dragged and tormented by the two empresses. Xiao Tian looked at Long Qiudao and said, "Living beings are what I truly like. Lifeless and cold things are just boring." Xiao Tian added, "Don't misunderstand, I was referring to the grand ambitions you mentioned earlier." Long Qiudao was left speechless.